Hello and welcome back to DocTrack Administrator Training. With this lesson, we look at Sightline security and Windows security. After you install DocTrack and apply the site license for it, you then need to provide your users with the appropriate permissions for it. If someone opens DocTrack Flex without these permissions, they'll get a message like this. To make this process a little easier, DocTrack adds these additional permission groups to your site when you install it. Each has a separate collection of form authorizations and are designed with specific DocTrack roles in mind. It's likely that you'll want most of your users assigned to the DocTrack user group. This provides access to all the typical DocTrack features most of your users will need. MGR DocTrack includes those permissions, plus access to all the forms required to configure DocTrack. This would include forms such as DocTrack parameters, as well as DocTrack form output profiles, DocTrack document saving rules, and DocTrack virtual rules, which we'll learn about a little later. The DocTrack Work Instructions user group allows users to view work instructions in DocTrack Flex. The DocTrack Work Instructions author group includes the same permissions, plus the ability to add, update, delete, and import work instructions. It also allows users to change the status from work in progress to pending. The MGR DocTrack Work Instructions group includes the same permissions as the author group, plus the ability to change the status from pending to approved. The DocTrack HR group is only used with the DoD Trade Secrets extension, which is beyond the scope of this course. Now, to learn more about this, you'll find an entire section in the DocTrack user course devoted to work instructions. Now, just because we provide these groups for you doesn't mean they'll be perfect for you right out of the box. For example, in the users form, you assign permissions to individual forms or groups of forms to each Sightline user account. For each form, you can decide whether the user can delete, edit, execute, insert, read, or update records in a forms collection. For example, Claire Summers can only execute and read records in the customer orders form. Because of that, her save, add, and delete buttons are disabled. So that takes care of the Sightline form records. But what about the DocTrack attachment permissions to those records? Should those users be restricted to only opening attachments? What about adding new ones or deleting attachments? What about editing existing attachments to change the description or even the file that's being attached? When it comes to adding, editing, and deleting DocTrack attachments, system administrators often want users to have the same restrictions as the particular Sightline form. DocTrack has a solution for this. On the DocTrack parameters form, you'll find an option labeled Enable Sightline Security for DocTrack. If that parameter is unchecked, then the user will have full permissions to read, add, update, and delete attachments regardless of the permissions they enjoy on the parent form. But when this is checked, a user will have the same permissions in DocTrack Flex as they have on the parent form. So for Claire, that means that when she's on the customer orders form, manual attachments are disabled. So are the Explorer, Print, and edit buttons. Now, as important as this is, it has no bearing on whether the user can open the attached file. For example, a Sightline user may have full permissions to the purchase orders form and full permissions to DocTrack Flex. But if they don't have permission to open the file in Windows, the viewer will look something like this. And they won't be able to open it. Access to your company's file system is managed for each Windows user in the network's Active Directory. It's here that Windows users and groups are created. And groups are assigned to users. Once that's done, you can then assign the NTFS permissions to the appropriate groups for each department folder in your DocTrack archive. This would typically be performed by your IT folks, and we don't cover it in this course. However, it's important that you have a general idea of how this works. If you do, then you'll be able to design your DocTrack archive map in a way that makes it easy to provide each Windows user with access to just the right files. Let's go back to the archive map I put together for Progressive Cycles. As you can see, the first level of folders extended from the root archive directory is made up of departments. Now, this is no accident. You might take advantage of this simple organization by creating different groups for each department, such as customer service, for example, and assigning your customer service team members to that group. You may also want to create an admin group for DocTrack administrators that would have access to everything in the DocTrack archive. Then add the groups in the Security tab and then give them the appropriate NT file system permissions. A well-organized archive makes it easy to share file access to those that need it and deny it to those that don't. You'll definitely want to keep this in mind when you start to create your own archive map. That's Sightline and Windows Security for DocTrack. And that's all for now. On our next lesson, we'll go over how to restrict manual attachments. See you then.